Old Captain here, we got an original today. Finally got an original. And I am being 100% serious. I'm not joking. No haha, funny, crazy, zany, ranting, Claire. This is deadly serious. And I'm going to try to be as polite as possible because I genuinely want to help these people. But when you have to deliver bad news, especially in today's younger millennial type society, bad news is viewed as an assault or an insult or mockery or ridicule. When not all medicines taste sweet. Some of the best medicines are incredibly harsh. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and help out some women, particularly in a group of recent college graduates, and that is under the hashtag women with degrees. Not women with degree, women with degrees. And you can find this on the Twitter. Go on and you click on the hashtag, you'll find women with degrees. It's all the women, and they're bragging about the degree. Or maybe bragging is a bit too big of a word, but they're celebrating, championing, showing that they have their degrees, that they're graduating. So the theme is, women have degrees. It's education. It's good. One huge, major problem. And I scrolled through a lot of them. So this is just like, I'm going to guess. I scrolled through a lot of them, over 100. And guys, I'm sorry, but 98% of your degrees are worthless. Right? There is the occasional engineer, there's the occasional accountant, there's the occasional medical doctor. But all I saw was degrees in sociology, anthropology, women's studies, African American history, communications, English, I even saw one professional English, kinesiology, all these degrees that are completely worthless. Right? So let me explain what's going on, what you can expect, and what you can do to solve this problem, right? What has happened is my generation, Gen X, and the baby boomers, who lie to my generation as well, have now lied to you about what it takes to succeed in this world. And they have harped always education. The problem is, when you've done that for almost 50 years now, you've flooded the market with a bunch of people with college degrees. And the law of supply in economics says that drives the value of degrees down. So much so have we done this, that today's college degree is basically the equivalent of a high school diploma. Right? What makes it worse, though, is they did not give you the much more important information about that it matters what you major in. You can't just major in fluff. And the vast majority of, sadly, women, if you look it up, wrote a book called Worthless, about 68% of the degrees are pursued, the worthless degrees are pursued by women. So about 70% of worthless degrees are pursued by women. Women, not all of them, but the majority of them pursue easy degrees. Now, if the degrees are easy or interesting, you think it's fun, you work well with children, the child psychology major, perfect one. Do you think, again, the law of supply, with millions of graduates hitting the labor market every year with those degrees, that there's going to be any demand? Also, a disproportionate amount of these degrees, education, social work, criminology, all that, requires that the government, if we're going to look at how many women are majoring in these degrees, we're going to have to increase government programs by threefold. And that would wipe out all of the budget. Wouldn't wipe out the budget, it would wipe out all of GDP. We'd have tax rates of around 80 to 90%. So there's not going to be the money there. The sad news is, ladies, that you were misled. I would even contend outright lied to, so you'd feel good and you either vote for certain people or you'd be best buddies and give your professors or teachers good reviews. You've been lied to about the employability and the value of your degree. You've been definitely lied to that the most important thing in the world is college. The most important thing in your life is your education, because you're all celebrating it. You have your... This is not celebration time. I mean, it's okay, you're done with college, time to celebrate. I understand that. But you go to college, and I don't care what anybody else tells you, you go to college to get a job. You go to college to escape poverty. You go to college to get yourself an education so you can start a career. I don't care what anybody says. It's all about money. It's all about that. It's about education, well-rounded. No, that crap leaves now. And the reason why it leaves is because you're the ones that just spent 4 years of your precious youth, not some of you 6 or 8, because now you get masters or doctorates, not to mention pushing, I'd guess for some of you, $100,000, $150,000 in tuition, and you've borrowed that money from the taxpayer, and then you're going to demand a bailout, I think? That's exactly what happened with the bailouts for the banks. You borrowed money that wasn't yours, the taxpayers. Now you want us to bail you out of it because you can't find a job because you made a bad decision, you made a bad investment? You're no different than banker scum if you do that, or if you advocate that. You have yet to do it because you guys are graduating, you have no idea what's ahead of you. So because there's such a huge financial cost and financial price, it does have to be about the money. You are in debt to the tune of 6 figures. You're $100,000 or $75,000 or heaven forbid $150,000 if you went to law school for a degree that's not going to pay off. And that means your life is at minimally really fucked for a minimum of a decade, more likely 2 decades. And then, I don't want to dare introduce the aspect of dating and courtship and marriage, but for those of you that deep down inside want to have children or a family, which I know, we don't need family, I don't need no, I know, we saw the same propaganda when we went to college. But for those of you that would inevitably like to get married and have kids, what guy is going to want to date you, let alone marry you, when you got 80 grand in debt and you still can't find a job, or you're working part-time maybe at, as a teacher's assistant, or the vice break glass in case of emergency reserve social worker because there's a bunch of gals my age and baby boomers' ages who waited their laid their turn in line for a decade to finally get a full-time position. Right? No, that's really going to cripple not just your finances, but your dating life as well, especially if you want to raise a family. So here's what you're going to have to do, ladies, and it's up to you. All right? Let me tell you what to expect first and then how to solve this. Right? You are in for the worst rude awakening ever, okay? You've been lied to for basically K through college, kindergarten through college, all right? And your expectations, what you have been led to believe about what you're going to do because rah-rah, women can do everything and da-da-da, has ignored the realities of economics and the labor market. You are not going to start off at 50 or 60 grand. Some of you will. You might know somebody who said, my friend Amy, good for her. That's not you, and that's not going to be the majority of you. The majority of you are going to basically be indebted ex-students, indebted graduates with very poor employment prospects. Okay? So what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to work 2 jobs, and they're not going to be high paying because there's just not that many jobs around. And you could try to say the government needs to spend more money for my program, but you're simply asking other people to enslave themselves to you to create a job that isn't in demand. No matter how much your professors and teachers might have told you that. So you are going to be in for some very harsh financial times. And you are also going to be in for a huge amount of depression because what you have built up in your entire life, what you've worked, enslaved, and toiled for this entire time, many of you got out of poor situations, poor neighborhoods, poor households. It was all a lie. It was all a lie. And you're going to find that out very quickly, and that is going to cause some major depression when you find out that, 1, your dreams are not attainable, and 2, you've been lied to this entire time, and 3, you wasted all this time. Now, I do not believe it is your fault. I genuinely do not believe it. I believe some people, like if you major in the liberal arts or the humanities, I do believe you're partly responsible because deep down inside you know it's an easy degree. You're also a little bit delusional, but you have been told and propagandized to believe that you can do whatever and the money will find. No, that's not how it's going to happen. But that doesn't change the fact that reality is reality, and you can either mope and whine and complain about it. Don't you dare blame racism or sexism. I'm sorry, sexism is women, not. Don't you dare blame sexism. Don't you dare blame that, because it's the laws of blame reality, okay? You can either accept this, own up to it, and say, this is the reality, I gotta get some new skills, or I have to try something different. Or you can sit and mire and say it's not, it's not necessarily, you can misdiagnose the problem, in which case you'll never actually solve the problem. So what you're gonna need to do, girls, is you're gonna need to go back to college. Maybe not necessarily college, but you're gonna have to go back to education. You're gonna have to get a skill that is in demand. You're going to have to become a computer programmer. You can go to a programming boot camp. Listen to Matt Tran's channel on Engineered Truth. All right, there's other ways that you can go and get certifications. They like IT or computer networking, stuff like that. They'll land you a job. You can. So a lot of you are becoming nurses. I saw that. That's that's a good trade to be in. You want to become a nurse, registered nurse, and the like. Some of you may be able to go back to get a degree in engineering or accounting. You got your prereqs out of the way. You got 2 years of the bullshit out of the way. You're just going to have to go back for 2 more years. To get like a real degree. Or you just have to bust your ass off working 2 jobs and paying off your debts and then trying to come back out of this hole. And maybe you'll be able to do it in 5 years. But by God, with some of the debt loads I see you girls have, and guys, it applies to guys too. It's just this is women with degrees. you're in for hell. You are in for literal hell. So, and then the fourth thing you could do is, by God, if you really want to have kids, you could have kids, but that's going to be an uphill battle if you got debt. I mean, you're going to have to find a saint of a man to, one, date you, but then marry you. Well, every guy will date you because they want to have sex. That's what it is. That's the honest truth. But to marry you and commit to you when you are a financial liability to the tune of, you got 10,000 in debt, that's nothing. But if you got 100,000 in debt, that's a house, or at least a significant down payment on a house. So, ladies, that's the medicine. Whether you take it or not, I don't care. I mean, I'm just trying to help you out and tell you what the real world's going to be like. And you could try, go ahead, and some of you, you'll win the lottery. You will land that job. You will actually get that job. And so I'm not saying don't try, but if in a year you can't find a job, or you're working like part-time and it just isn't cutting it and your dreams are not coming true, that's because they were nightmares. They were never meant to, the dreams were never meant to come true, and now you're living a nightmare that is coming true. So I will give you a couple things here. It's up to you. Where do I want it? Oh, do I have it? Yeah, here we are. There. Got it. This is going to be the number one book you can buy. It's on Kindle. It's dirt cheap. This is like 12 Kindle. I think it's 5. It's also on audio. This is another book you may want to consider. I know this looks like it's written for men. It is not written for men. It is written for both men and women. This one is definitely written for men, but it's not like the laws of finance and economics do not apply equally. It's not like, well, guys, that shirt for a guy is $3, but for the girl it's $5. It's the laws of economics and finance are universal. Women live a little bit longer, so there's some changes in financial planning, retirement planning. But aside from that, if you don't have food, you don't eat. But this is locker room talk, and you're going to have to go in with a thick hide on this one. And I would skip the part about dating and marriage and women, because it's written for guys who want to date women. So it would not be a value. Although I know you girls will be, that's probably the first chapter you're going to go to is the one about women. I'm going to see what this son of a bitch is writing. Oh my God, I can't believe he wrote. Yeah, I did write that, and suck it up because it's true. So anyway, that's about the best olive branch my curmudgeon-y asshole ass can give you, girls. I do want you girls to succeed. I do want you to close the wage gap. But this, let's blame everything on sexism and major and fluffy bunny cocky studies, that's not going to help you that's not going to close the gap. That's just a path to misery and financial ruin. These books, if you have the tolerance, my blog and website, you can read, but I recommend these books. They're written much more efficiently. Please, look up stuff. Great thing you can do, search your job title and BLS in Google. And the Bureau of Labor Statistics will give you all the data that you need about starting salaries, expected growth, median salaries, all that other stuff. Do some research. This bullshit about following your heart and the money will follow is exactly that. It is bullshit. I am the first, probably, seemingly, since everyone's celebrating women in degrees, it is very apparent I am the first dose of reality you've gotten since you ever entered kindergarten. So, best of luck to all of you. You can find me over at assholeconsulting.com. Toodles.